What's up, you guys? I'm Jasper, and this is JJ Vids. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I'm going to be going over the rarity of the Lexus IS300 platform, at least in North America. And I'm going to be going over both the sedan and Sportcross models in this video. And I'm going to be going over facts such as exact production numbers of both of these models, rare paint colors that you can find these cars in, and rare options that you can get these cars with as well. So stay tuned. So before we dive into the details of the rarity factor of the Lexus IS300, it's worth noting that all the information that I have regarding this car is not easily available online. And Lexus took down all the information regarding this car from their website probably 10 years ago now. So the way I was able to find this information was through deep searches through Lexus forums, and I was able to find all of the production information about this car and rare paint colors as well as options for this car as well. So with that being said, let's dive right into the video. So let's start off by talking production numbers on the IS300 platform, and I'm going to be breaking this up through the IS300 sedan automatic transmission cars, the IS300 sedan manual transmission cars, and the IS300 Sportcross production numbers. So let's get right into it. The exact amount of total automatic transmission cars that were produced were 73,578 automatic units. Then the total amount of manual units was 13,122 units. And the total production number of the Lexus IS300 sedan through the model years 2001 and 2005 is exactly 86,700 units combined. When you break down those numbers, that means that there was exactly 15.1% of all Lexus IS300s made in a manual transmission through the model years 2002 and 2005. As for the IS300 Sportcross, they only ever made 3,078 units. We also have to take into consideration that it's been 20 years since these cars came out, and a lot of these cars have been totaled and wrecked, so I would account for about 20% of the total production run of the IS300 sedan and Sportcrosses to be off the road, not drivable at this point. I wanted to touch a little bit more on the manual transmission production of the Lexus IS300 sedan platform, because I know a lot of you guys are going to be interested in this topic. So the two most common years to find an IS300 manual transmission in the United States would be the model years 2002 with about 4,422 units produced, and then 2005, which actually had the most amount of manual transmissions produced with just over 4,500, 4,501 to be exact. I'm not going to touch too much on the sedan automatic transmission production because they made so many more of these cars than they did the manual transmission or the Sportcross models, but I will tell you guys the rarest automatic sedan year, and that would definitely be the model year 2005, because they only made 5,487 units of the IS300 automatic in that year. And ironically, 2005 was definitely the least amount of IS300s produced throughout the whole model run, and it was also the only year that Lexus decided to almost split the production of the manual transmissions and the automatic transmissions in half, really like a 60-40 split, because they made 4,500 manual transmission sedans and they made 5,400 automatic transmission sedans, which is pretty neck and neck comparing it to any of the other model years. For example, 2003, they made 11,000 sedan automatics and they only made 2,200 manual sedans. And that lies us with an interesting topic as well, because 2005 was definitely the rarest model year to find an IS300 in, and that's regardless of whether or not it's a manual transmission, automatic transmission, or Sportcross, with a total of only 10,253 units produced in that year. And to put it in perspective, in the model year 2004, there were 9,000 automatic sedans made, so 2005 was definitely the rarest year to find any IS300. Going in to the IS300 Sportcross production numbers, and I think that this is by far the most interesting because they made a fraction amount of the wagons as they did the sedans throughout this whole production run. And just to put it into perspective, they only ever made 3,078 Sportcrosses ever in the United States. That's it. And the most common year to find an IS300 Sportcross would definitely be the model year 2002 with 1,958 Sportcrosses produced, and every other year besides 2002, they made less than 500 Sportcrosses per year. You know, going into 2003, they only made 471 Sportcrosses. 2004, they only made 384. And 2005, with the least amount produced, they only made 265 Sportcrosses. And that brings the total number out to 3,078 Sportcross units. But I also wanted to touch on the manual swapped cars as well, including Sportcrosses and automatic sedans that were swapped into manual. Because before 2020 and the global events that happened in that year, the manual swapped IS300 game was a really underground game. I mean, not many people had the resources, time, and effort to actually swap these cars into manual before that year. And I believe before 2020, there were only a couple dozen manual swapped IS300s on the road in the United States. But ever since after 2020 and the extra money and time that a lot of people got due to the global events, I believe now that we're in 2022, I think that there's anywhere from 75 to 200 manual swapped IS300 automatic sedans and Sportcrosses on the road. But it's really hard to pinpoint an exact number of how many swapped cars there are in the States, because not everyone documents their swap, and it's impossible to tell how many sedans were swapped from automatic to manual and how many Sportcrosses were swapped. But I've seen at least 75 cases on the internet of people documenting their swap, including myself in this car. So now that I've gone over the full production numbers of the IS300 platform and even got to touch a little bit on possible manual swapped cars in the United States, I really wanted to go over rare paint colors that were offered on these cars as well, because I'm going to start off with, in 2001, there were a couple of different colors that were only offered in that year as a sedan, which are really considered the most rare paint colors to find for the IS300 platform. And those colors include Auburn Sky Pearl, which is definitely like a fiery orange type of color, only available on 2001 cars. And another color that's really rare is a Diamond White. Now, they had another white that was offered on the IS300s all the way through the 2005 model year, but the Diamond White had like this metallic to it, and it was only offered in the model year 2001. So those colors are extremely rare to find just because they were only offered in the 2001 model year. There are also other colors like Thundercloud Metallic and Alabaster Metallic, which were only offered on the Sport Design models, and the Sport Design was only offered between the model years 2003 and 2004. So those colors you can only get on Sport Design models, which makes those two colors extremely rare as well. But as for the IS300 Sportcross, I would say the rarest colors to get on this car would definitely be the electric green, which was a really rare color to find for the Sportcross. I've only seen a few of them. The absolute red, which was also an extremely rare color to find on the Sportcrosses. And I think the most rare color for the Sportcrosses would be the solar yellow, because they only made the solar yellow for the model years 2002 and 2003 for the Sportcross, where the electric green and the absolute red were produced through 2005 for the Sportcross. So to find the rarest paint color for the Sportcross, I think solar yellow would take the cake for that. But I mean, obviously common colors for the Sportcross include this graphite metallic gray. I personally love this color because it doesn't get too dirty, but black is also a super common color, and I think the absolute most common color for Sportcrosses would be the metallic silver. So now we're going to go over the rare options and trim levels that were offered on the IS300. We're going to start off by going over the L-Tune line, which was pretty much a cosmetic upgrade to what the regular Lexus IS300 sedan was. They never made a Sportcross version of the L-Tune, but they did offer the L-Tune in both a 5-speed manual and a 5-speed automatic. But the L-Tune package was also a port installed package, so this wasn't something that Lexus made from the factory in Japan, or it wasn't even something that the dealership installed before delivery. This was actually a package installed at the port when the cars came to the United States. And there is no exact production number of how many L-Tunes were made because they never disclosed that, but I will tell you the L-Tunes are extremely rare, comparing them to any IS300 sedan, and I can guarantee you that they're more rare than the IS300 sedan manual transmission. So pretty much what makes the L-Tune different from the regular IS300 sedan is that it came with special raised rims, came with a special body kit, came with L-Tune badging on the sides of the car, came with blacked out badging on the rear, an L-tune grille, an L-tune floor mats, L-tune badging on the dash, and a few other little things to kind of make it stand out from the rest of the IS300 line. The L-tune was only produced between the model years 2001 and 2003, and then they decided to discontinue the L-tune. And I believe they discontinued it so fast because the L-tune didn't really offer any performance upgrades to what the IS300 was. There wasn't any major horsepower gains, handling gains, or anything like that. It did come with a different exhaust, but I'm not really going to count that as a big performance change. So I believe that's the reason why the L-tune line was killed so fast. So now we're going to go over the Sport Design trim, which was another trim level offered on the IS300 sedan platform. No Sport Crosses were offered with the Sport Design trim level, and basically all this trim level is another cosmetic upgrade to what the regular IS300 was. There's no performance upgrades or anything like that, but it did come with cool things like the 11-spoke Sport Design rims that were special for the Sport Design trim level, blacked out headlights and taillights, blacked out badging, Sport Design badges on the side of the car, and they only made the Sport Design between the model years 2003 and 2004, and it came with two exclusive colors, the Thundercloud Metallic and the Alabaster Metallic, which were only offered on Sport Design models, which makes those colors extremely rare for the IS300 lineup. But the final trim level of IS300 that I'm going to be going over with you guys in this video is by far the most rare, and that is the base model or stripped down model IS300 sedan trim. They never made a Sport Cross in this base model trim, but all this trim is a completely stripped down version of what these cars are. So it didn't come with the 17-inch rims, smaller 16-inch rims. It didn't come with a sunroof. It only came with cloth manual seats, and it was optioned with a 5-speed manual. Some of them were automatics, but most of them were 5-speed manual. And these are really desirable cars because they're the lightest version of the IS300 that was brought to the United States. So people like to track these cars and do crazy race type things with them because it's the lightest, more race oriented version of the IS300. But the most notable part about the IS300 stripped down model is that it did not come with the sunroof, because the vast majority of IS300 sedans came standard with the sunroof, and all USDM Sport Crosses were all standard with the sunroof in the United States. So to find an IS300 sedan without the sunroof is a huge deal because it saves a lot of weight on the car. But another huge deal with the IS300 stripped down model is that they all came standard with the cloth manual seats, because the vast majority of IS300 sedans and Sport Crosses in the United States all came standard with either the automatic hybrid suede seats or the automatic full leather seats, which are a lot more heavy than the manual seats are, and they actually are a lot less durable than the full cloth manual seats are as well, in my opinion. And the cloth seats I think are better because it gives you a much lower seating position in the car, and it's just a better overall driving experience with the cloth seats in the IS300 platform. Now, I'm pretty sure that no IS300 Sport Crosses came standard with cloth seats from the factory. I'm pretty sure it was special order only. I've yet to see a Sport Cross with a folding down front seat, fully cloth and manual, but who knows, maybe I'll see one day. But with that being said, I think that's a great place to leave off today's video, because not only I got to go over all the production numbers regarding the IS300 Sport Cross, IS300 sedan manual transmission, and automatic transmission sedans, I got to go over all the rare paint colors that these cars were offered with, as well as touch on all the rare trim levels that came with the IS300 during this production run. So thank you everyone who shows support to the JJ Vids channel and watches my videos. Be sure to like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell if you guys enjoy this content, and I'll see you guys next video. Cheers.